You take one step forward and 15 steps back. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Black Lives Matter New York City leader Hawk Newsome apparently threatening bloodshed over the new mayor and his pro-crime fighting narrative. So we all know what's happening right now all over the nation, but definitely in big cities like New York, there's a crime problem. It's a serious crime problem, and it's getting so bad in some of these areas where people are just leaving. You say, you know what? I just can't take it anymore. We had the whole lockdown, regulation, higher crime, the police are being defunded. I have to leave. That is happening right now in New York City, and the brand new mayor, Eric Adams, is attempting to put a pause on that, trying to eliminate it to best of his ability. Now, I'm not sure if he'd be able to do it, but he said that he wants to fight crime. Now, Hawk Newsome, one of the leaders from Black Lives Matter New York City, is saying, well, we don't want you to do that because you're going to be harming black people in the city. And if you do follow through with it, there's going to be consequences. Now, before I go any further, let's roll the clip. In this clip, you're going to see and hear from Hawk Newsome, Eric Adams, and I think a community activist about what's happening here. After we get done watching that, I'll come back. I'll talk about what they said there, then I'll give you my 2 cents and my deep detail analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
If they think that they're going to go back to the old ways of policing, then we're going to take to the streets again. There will be riots, there will be fire, and there will be bloodshed. So there's no way that we're going to let some Gestapo come in here and harm our people, right? We pray for peace, but black opportunities prepares for the worst.
Co-founder of BLM's Greater New York chapter, Hawk Newsome, saying this after a heated meeting with Adams at Brooklyn Borough Hall.
If you're telling me that I need to do this, if you're saying that I need to do this.
The sit-down taking place behind closed doors, but was live-streamed on Instagram by an attendee. The conversation escalating when Newsome told Adams the organization would hold him accountable for any future police misconduct.
You hold me accountable? Yeah. I'm holding you accountable. You get on the ground, stop the violence in my community. I'm holding you accountable.
We have actively been trying to hold the NYPD accountable. What are you going to do to hold the NYPD accountable for their unlawful actions?
Brother, I mean, have you been living under a rock?
No.
Because I've been doing that I did it in the department.
In America?
Yeah. Brother, we're gonna look. Walking in this room without his.
We have people in city council who can create problems for him. We have people in the streets who can create problems for this administration by shutting it down.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, there's so much I wanted to say. First of all, I have to address what I said about Hawk Newsome before in BLM New York City. I gave them a lot of credit for being against the vax mandate, and I heard he mentioned the Gestapo, and this talk here is not really the same as what he was saying about the vax, okay? He may be trying to draw a connection, but no, there's no connection. When you're talking about the vax and having all these mandates to be able to go into a restaurant, a movie theater, a gym, maybe even to work, that's too much. I'm against the vax mandate, and I'm not quite sure where Eric Adams stands on that. I think he said at one point he'll revisit it in January, I believe, when he becomes inaugurated. But then at the same time, he said the mandate won't change. So I have no idea. But regardless, I supported BLM New York City when they were against the vax mandate. However, for this right here, being against crime fighting, being against bringing the violence down, which is mostly against black people, I just don't understand that point. And you threatening bloodshed. I mean, why would you do that? First of all, is that like a criminal threat? Could you go to the penitentiary for doing that? Big rocks, little rocks? I mean, what's going on with that? That's first thing. Second thing, you are endangering your people, your proud black brothers and sisters, by being against the crime fighting narrative. Why would you be against this? This is going to help you and your community. Okay, you're talking about the police, I guess, being too heavy-handed and whatnot on some black folks. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that they may be heavy-handed on certain black folks. Who are they going to be heavy-handed against specifically? And I ain't talking about just skin color. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the types of people that the NYPD could potentially be heavy-handed against. We ain't talking about grandma and them sitting on the porch, knitting and baking cookies in the back. I ain't talking about the auntie that got the greens in the pot on the stove. I'm not talking about them, just regular everyday people. We're talking about the criminals, the drug dealers, the violent, the gangbangers, people like that. People that go around the city and do the knockout game, hitting old ladies in the head with a brick. People that like to shoot drugs all day and rob from you to get their drug money. We're talking about those people. Now, I'm not saying that people who are just suspected of committing the crime should be treated with, disrespect and things of that nature. But if you're a little heavy-handed on known criminals, why is that a bad thing? Do you support criminals or do you support regular, everyday working people in your community? Okay, there's a difference. You can't just say because somebody is black that they're automatically innocent or they're automatically going to be targeted unfairly. That's not fair to say. Okay, and you got a black person in there, a black liberal in there. I mean, what more do you want? And you know what? I think a big part of what's happening here is ignorance. Guys like Hawk Newsome are clinging to some ignorance that they just don't want to. It's willful ignorance. They know at a certain point where the crime's coming from. They know at a certain point how to fix it. But because they have this notion of, we don't deal with the police and F the police, all this, that, and the third, then they got to be against them. It's like the one guy that was in there that didn't even have all the facts. He was just talking, just trying to be aggressive, not even know what he was talking about. There's a whole lot of that going on. People that are just ignorant and don't understand the true situation. The reality is most of the crime in New York City right now is black on black. Okay, so if you are going to crack down on crime, you're going to make life safer for black people. Okay, now I wish there was a greater organization in New York City. Maybe there is, but they don't get any kind of publicity. But I wish there was a greater organization that were able to speak louder than BLM NYC, because they appear to be the only ones to say anything. Okay, you got some of these old FBI snitch guys like Al Sharpton, who was out doing whatever, Jesse Jackson, all these guys. These guys are pretty much 1,000 years old, both feet in the grave. You need some new young people that are going to come out there and say the correct things and do the correct things. It can't be BLM, obviously, because they are pretty much like a broken clock. They're right once or twice a day. The majority of the time, they're wrong. They're simply incorrect. They're wrong. And in this case, they're wrong. There needs to be another group that comes out there and says something. And I hope that the mayor's objective will get fulfilled. And you know what? As I close here, I think the best way to go about this is having the community not cooperate with BLM. Because you heard what he said. He was like, well, I got guys in the street that'll shut it down. Well, what if the guys in the street don't shut it down? You're saying that one thing as one person, but maybe the guys in the street should not be listening to you, Hawk Newsome, and they should be hearing what I say. Don't go out there in the street and tear stuff up, burn your own neighborhood down, assaulting police officers. That's not going to help you in your situation. You know what the problems are in your community. You know it's not police going out there thugging and drubbing and robbing and killing. You know it's not that. You know it's the same guy that's been terrorizing your community for the past however many years, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's the same crew. It's the same people that always do it, the usual suspects. You already know what time it is. So there's no reason to try and attack the police. So hopefully people don't listen to what that man said and they just act based off common sense. And hopefully common sense is more common than I think it is right now, which is not very common, unfortunately. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about Eric Adams and his proposal to end crime or to be harder on crime? Is he going to do that? Is he not going to do that? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about BLM NYC leader Hawk Newsome saying that it's going to be bloodshed and you can't do this and you're harassing our people, all this, that, and the third? They're the Gestapo. How do you feel about these comparisons? Are they correct, incorrect? How do you feel about his threat? Is it warranted, unwarranted? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. I think that this is ridiculous because you need to be fighting the crime. That is a really big problem, especially in these low income areas, black community, artists, and that. That's really where it's needed. So if you want to have more dead black folks, Hawk Newsome, and you want to do a thing that's hurtful to black folks, people would follow your direction and say, F the police, defund the police can't do. They would do that. He might not even say defund the police, but his rhetoric fits right into that whole thing. If you don't really want the police to be out there and helping you and reducing crime, reducing violence, reducing the drugs and stuff like that, then what you said is right on point, Hawk Newsome. But if you want lower drugs, if you want lower crime, if you want lower incidents of assault on women and stuff like that, then you would go with what Eric Adams is proposing. Now, if he's able to do that or not, that's a different question for a different day. But the idea behind it is what makes sense. And I like how Eric Adams said, hey, y'all want to hold me accountable, I'll hold y'all accountable. Eliminate that violence in our communities. That is the ultimate goal, and that should be something that everyone strives toward, regardless of where you are, if there is a problem with crime and violence. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.